Hi, podcast listeners. Thanks so much for coming to visit my eco-friendly home today. I'm your host, Madison Hopkins, and I'm so delighted to have you. When you're a guest in my eco-friendly home, I want you to walk away with tangible steps to reduce your home's emissions, live healthier, cleaner, save money, and of course, build community. So come on in and make yourself right at home. Oh, goody, you brought those low-sugar cookies I love, my favorite. Hi, podcast listeners, and thanks for tuning in today. On today's episode of Eco-Friendly Homes, we have Jess Armstrong here from Peyton's Potions. This is a whole house, safe, uplifting multi-purpose cleaner that you can use on so many things. I just learned last night that you can also put it on like fabric. So I sprayed, because on the ingredients list, right, Jess, it says you can spray as an air freshener. So I decided to spray it on my couch, on my floor, on my bed, and everything smelled like eucalyptus. And I know that's just one of the main ingredients that y'all use. So this is a non-toxic, excuse my voice today, everyone. It's really cold outside. So non-toxic household cleaner. And Jess and I are here to tell y'all all about it. And we would love to hear your story. Jess, thank you for joining us today.
Oh yeah, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So where would you like to start? Do you want to talk about the product first or I think we should actually talk about how you created the product because that really tells the story itself.
Yeah, why it exists. So back in 2010, my son Peyton was diagnosed with acute lymphocytic leukemia after being sick for about 3 weeks. They thought he had bronchitis, and I just knew that the antibiotics weren't doing anything. He wasn't getting better. And so when I took him in and they did his blood work, they came back with deer in the headlight look. And that at night, he was life flighted. We live in Glenwood Springs, and he was life flighted through the Rocky Mountains over to Denver. I drove through the first snowstorm of the season while my husband went on the little airplane with him. And after a bone marrow biopsy, he was diagnosed with leukemia. Acute lymphoblastic leukemia, you have to get started in treatment right away. You have to get them in remission within a week. And so he was immediately given a port in his chest and got started on chemotherapy. And then a month later, he was diagnosed with actually a severe type of leukemia that's only found in infants, and it's pretty much fatal every time. So a 10-year-old boy manifesting with this type of leukemia, mixed lineage leukemia, was very puzzling to Children's Hospital in Denver. And so they weren't quite sure what to do with his treatment. So there was a lot going on all at once. Our son was life flighted. We were told that if your child has cancer, you want them to have acute lymphoblastic leukemia because it's the most curable. About 90% of children who are diagnosed with it, it's the most common type of childhood cancer. They survive long term. But then to be told that, so first you're just dealing with the most unwelcome news that your child was diagnosed with cancer. And then he also had a raging infection from his port surgery, which landed him in PICU. So he was dealing with, he almost died from the infection. And then he has a cancer that they don't know what to do with, that Children's hasn't really seen another child of his age manifest with. And so as a mother, with all of this rocking our world the way that it did, and my husband coming back to Glenwood to work, I was primarily the caregiver. And I sat in the room long hours with him thinking, this is going to be 3.5 years of treatment. We were just told to not plan anything. And they just told me a long list of drugs that my child his body's going to be having for those 3.5 years that are very toxic, and how that's going to make him lose his hair, he'll turn green, and all these things. And I thought, what can I do to minimize toxins in his environment then? And when his oncologist told me, when I asked, how do children get leukemia? I'm reading everything I can, and I'm learning that the rates of childhood cancer have increased over the last decades. I mean, we're not getting less cancer in children, we're getting more. And I said, what is this all about? He goes, we do know for certain that the environment, what we use on a daily basis, has great impact on why children get cancer. The littles among us getting cancer, that just really hit me. So I decided I would do everything I could to minimize toxins. I knew I couldn't completely deplete his world of toxins, but I wanted to do what I could. So I looked at the American Pediatric website for that day that I got this news from his oncologist, and on the docket was the first article was how household cleaners are the most poisonous things to our environment. Anyway, to make a long story short from there, I came home after that first month in the hospital with him, and I threw out hundreds of dollars worth of cleaning products, both ones that seemed fine green that I bought and some that were more harsh, bleach and so forth. And I decided I was going to try to find something on the internet that I could replace all of that with, even if it was going to be a couple of products, whatever. I couldn't find anything because each time I'd look up another ingredient, I learned something about that ingredient, even though EWG, the Environmental Working Group, has, they give them grades A to F. I still just was not entirely satisfied. And a few months before Peyton was diagnosed, I started to learn about essential oils and had bought a few. And because smells are so intensified when you're on chemotherapy, I knew that he wouldn't like it if I just did vinegar and baking soda. And so I chose to start researching on my own just essential oils and learning about them and what would be the best ones that were antimicrobial, antibacterial, meaning the beautiful thing about plants and plant-based products is in nature, that's so exquisite and so brilliant and so perfectly made that when we introduce them into our home environments, they're not killing the microbes that are necessary for us. They're killing the ones that are bad for us. And so all of this made sense to me. So I just set about to purchase these essential oils that were, like I said, antimicrobial, antifungal, antibacterial. And I purchased many of them, but I didn't know what we would use to make a cleaner. And so Peyton loves science projects. He was at home being homeschooled during his cancer treatment. And so I sat him at the kitchen counter and we just played around with them following this reference guide that I had, how to mix oils. And I mean, I'm no expert, but I did the best I could with that. And we got to where Peyton said, "Mom, I love this scent. This is it." We'd mixed lavender and lemon and melaleuca and geranium and just a bunch of different oils. And again, I'm not knowing the ratios and things. This is what we came up with. And that's how it started. From there, we would give it to people to tell them thank you. We'd make them I bought a bunch of bottles and we'd make them.
The brown,
the amber. Mm-hmm. And we would give them to people who brought us casseroles, to his teacher to say thank you. And then we'd give them, now you buy them empty, right? With the refill. When we were first making them, we didn't have the refill. And we would give them full. We'd fill them up with a little bit of some of the Brenner soap or, something that was a little bit of a soap base to it, surfactant to mix with the essential oil, and then water. And people would say very gingerly, "We know you're busy dealing with cancer treatment, but we love this so much. Can you please make us some more?" Mm-hmm. And then when we got told that he had mixed lineage leukemia around that same time, I had purchased a book called Love, Medicine, and Miracles by Dr. Bernie Siegel. And I'd read in that book that people who advocate for their disease have better prognosis. And so since people were wanting this cleaner, I thought maybe this is a way that we can advocate for childhood cancer awareness and research. And that's where it set off from there.
Wow.
Sorry, that was a long story.
No, it's amazing. I read the article that you sent me on citylifestyle.com.
Mm-hmm.
And I read all of it, but yeah, a lot of overlappings. And you said you bought that book. I didn't know you had just gotten into essential oils at that spot in your life. But I also, just for future reference, would love to do another podcast with you and someone I just interviewed, Elizabeth Bolus, because she's like an ingredients queen, and you've obviously read all the ingredients for at least household cleaners. And so I would love to have both of you chat about that. because I'm sure we could go a lot deeper into that than I'm able to do just by myself today. But do you want to tap into that a little bit real quick? Like some of the ingredients on things, and like, because I've seen in some of your articles you say even though things are quote green, they still have all these chemicals. And so I'm just wondering, like, what was that like finding that out?
Yeah, and incidentally, Elizabeth Bullis is our marketing director, and we absolutely.
No way.
And do you know how we met her? We met her because, I know, it's so cool. So we met her because somebody was gifted a bottle of Peyton's potion. His name is Jim Hall. He became a really good friend of Peyton's during his cancer treatment. And he knew somebody on the Front Range who then knew her. So it was via Peyton's potion that we met her. So yeah, she's brilliant. I love her.
That is so funny.
Yeah. Yeah, she's great.
Like, you should meet your marketing director.
We did meet her in September when we went to Denver for the Cure Search National Walk. So September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month.
Okay.
And that was the first time we actually got to meet her. We'd been working with her all through COVID, and then finally got to meet her at the walk. So that was fun.
Oh my gosh.
But about, green cleaners and the whole concept of greenwashing, are there good cleaners? Like, yes, Evolve, I think, is a good replacement for bleach. That's a good brand for bleach replacement, because like, I just got done talking to my daughter. She's in Taiwan. Her name is Haley. And she said, Mom, I can't tell you the difference Peyton's Potion makes in my cleaning. She said, there's hard water around the bathroom shower, and I was cleaning with Peyton's Potion, and Peyton's Potion you need a little bit of muscle with some of the more abrasive, cleaning projects like that with hard water. And so she looked under the sink and she showed me this other cleaner that she was using. And she said, as soon as I started squirting it, I got a headache. And it's because really, truly, these cleaners that you can just buy off of the shelf in America here anyway, it's way different in Europe and Canada, they're really toxic. And one of the number one ways that they get into our body is through the fumes, so the airborne chemicals. And so
we're like breathing that in.
One of the worst ingredients that is in products, which it's mind-boggling how this exists here in the United States, but it does, is VOCs. And about those doing real estate, how they have, harmful off-gas chemicals. But those are still found in many cleaners, and they're linked to cancer and asthma. I mean, asthma across the board, but yeah, for any of those kinds of cleaners. As far as like green cleaners, like I would just tell people, if you're using one at home and you want to use it up, look at what the EWG says and try to educate yourself about, what phthalates are and phosphates and sulfates and parabens and even synthetic fragrances. So air fresheners are the worst. Anything that's airborne is just bad. And that's actually one of my favorite uses for Peyton's Potion, like what you mentioned, is freshening up a room, and it just takes one squirt.
Yeah, I kind of went a little over my squirts. It was like, okay, great.
Yeah, but if in the bathroom, go to the bathroom, squirt, you're great. You're good to go. Yeah.
What is EWG? What is that?
The Environmental Working Group.
Okay.
And it's a major hub for where they evaluate all the ingredients in anything from beauty products to cleaners and so on.
Okay. I will definitely link to that in the
Things
show.
that you use every day items.
Yeah. I'll definitely link to that in the show notes, and I'll link to some of the articles that you've written or been interviewed to as well. But so you have other children, older children. Peyton's the youngest, right?
Peyton's the youngest, and I have a daughter who is in Taiwan. She's married. She's a YouTuber there. And then my oldest son, Ian, is 27, and he is in medical school in Michigan.
Wow, that's so.
Peyton's in college. He's a sophomore.
Nice.
In Utah.
How does in engineering? Mm-hmm. Okay, great. And I'm curious how your oldest son in medical school, how he interacts with Peyton's Potions. Like, does he sort of advocate for non-toxins in his medicine since going through this with your family?
Oh yeah, he won't even let me get supplements. He'll say, "Mom, you can't use this supplement." And I'm like, "I've researched that." "No, Mom, this." I mean, he's very he also worked before he went to medical school, he worked in a lab as he was a chemistry major, so he worked in a lab, and so he would create different supplements, protein drinks, things like that. So he really learned all the intricate details of that and what ingredients are passed as good and what just isn't good. And so yeah, no, he's very our whole family uses Peyton's potion. It's the cleaner that we use. So
Yeah.
yeah, for everything, pretty much.
I just want to read off this card was adorable for people who are listening on the podcast can't see it, but anyone who's watching the video, I love that y'all sent the little card in. And I didn't know what it was at first with the little gold. I was just like, is this a sticker? Like, and then I tried to peel it off and it was not a sticker. So then I actually read the card and read about the gold, was it crane, the paper crane, the gold crane. So 1,000 paper cranes gives someone a wish, and someone sent Peyton 1,000 cranes when he was in the hospital. So now y'all send people paper cranes pre-folded, which is great. I haven't made my crane yet, but I will. I'll when I finish it.
Yeah, it's fun. That was a pretty special experience for him. A woman we hadn't met at the time. We've met her since. Tomoko Hawk, a Japanese woman, heard about Peyton.
Oh, you
And
got to meet her?
we met her just this year at the end of the summer. Yeah, in a COVID way, finally. There's pictures. I think they're on our Instagram or they're coming. But anyway, she folded along with another little boy we met that was in cancer treatment. He was ending his Blake Wilcox, and his mom, Kathleen, folded 1,000 paper cranes for Peyton and strung them. Just such an amazing gift to get from a complete stranger. And it affected us so much that we did it 4 times during Peyton's cancer treatment, where I did a Caring Bridge blog post for Peyton throughout his cancer treatment. And we asked people, hey, we heard of another child in our area. If you want to help us collect cranes. All the schools got involved. We got cranes on our doorstep in the mail. People just love the whole giving of crane idea. And we were able to collect another 4,000 to give to 4 other children. And so then when we partnered with Joshua Margolis and Megan Brosnan in 2015 to move Peyton's Potion forward, we knew that the crane would have to be a significant part. The crane project would have to be a significant part of one of our, causes, I guess you could say. So
when I read that y'all also gave 4 other people 1,000 cranes, I did just imagine for a moment like what that must have been like, because I imagined that you were in the hospital room, the children were in the hospital room, and all of a sudden like 1,000 cranes just arrived, like paper origami cranes, and how overwhelming that would be, because 1,000 is actually a mass amount.
we put them in big totes, that you can buy with the clasp handles. And one of them actually we just delivered to him at his home, and people wrote messages on some of the cranes. And it's such a long course of treatment, leukemia. You have time to read those. They played with them. His mom would send us pictures of him playing. This one boy we gave him to him playing with them, airplaning them with his brother, setting them up and shooting balls. I mean, it's just something special, but can just keep them busy. And certainly Peyton was busy throughout his cancer treatment making these cranes. They go back, the 1,000 paper cranes actually goes back to Sudoku and the 1,000 paper cranes. Have you heard of that?
I on the blog.
Yeah.
Only on that, but I didn't look into it.
So it's actually a huge tradition in Japan. They actually have World Peace Monument of Sudoku holding a crane. It's huge. And once a year on Earth Day, there's millions of cranes that are all surrounding her. You can look it up online. And it's all for hope that, there'll never be another war like the Hiroshima bombing, that there'll be peace on Earth. And certainly, with Sudoku, when she was folding those cranes. She made it, I've heard different things, that she's made it past 1,000, and she was buried with most of her cranes. But when she passed away, she was the same age as Peyton when she was diagnosed with leukemia from the Hiroshima bombing. She was 2 when it happened, I believe. But it's such a powerful, powerful story, and such a powerful symbol, the crane. And 1,000 is a spiritual number too. It means a lot. 1,000 means a lot to people. So it's just a good feel project, and we'll do it. We'll never stop doing it. We make absolutely no money on the paper cranes. We just gifted 1,000 to a girl that she doesn't have to send us pictures or anything. We're just giving it to her. We asked Cure Search, which is a national organization that funds childhood cancer research that we're national sponsors for, to nominate 2 children. And they nominated this little girl, Sydney. So all the cranes flew to Sydney. She has them by now, I think.
Oh, when was that?
Just recently, just a few weeks ago.
Wow.
So yeah, so when you buy a bottle of Peyton's Potion, you're doing a lot more than just helping your family, in your home environment be healthier. We give 5% to Cure Search for childhood cancer research. We watch the webinars for the research so we can be up to date on what's the latest. And it's a unique product. There was only one product that I knew of during Peyton's cancer treatment that donated to childhood cancer research at the time. And it was Saran Wrap, a Saran Wrap type product. And the reason why they did is because children, they have a lot of people have ports in their chests, and it's constantly getting poked, right? And so you numb it with a cream called EMLA cream. And for children, to make it easy, you just put a piece of Saran Wrap around it so that they have it on an hour before they go to get poked, to get access for their chemotherapy infusion. So we lived on that stuff, and they donated to childhood cancer research. So that probably partly influenced my decisions to move forward and stick with it.
I didn't realize like the port, they could still feel it. Like I just imagined, right? Because it's sort of like a spot where a needle can always go. It's
about the size of a bottle cap.
Okay.
And yeah.
But it's not just like part of your skin. It's actually like a device that goes in between, right?
It's surgically implanted under the skin. So the nurse has to feel for where to poke it. And that can be trial and error too. So Peyton unfortunately had to have 3 different ports. It's the long story. But the first port he had was infected, so that got taken out, and he got a Broviac until he could be well enough to get the second port. The second port was a power port, but it wasn't, anyway, long story short is it was hard to feel. It was so deeply embedded that he would get poked 3 to 4 or 5, 6 times to find it, And so, yeah, childhood cancer, if everybody could just peek into what that world is like, you'd never complain again in your life to see children dealing with all that goes on in childhood cancer.
Could you tell us a little bit more about, I just pulled up your website. I don't know why I was thinking I needed a reference for that, but could you tell us more about how the doctors said that the household products are a known cause of cancer and like, yeah, I don't know anything about that, but I know that people are always investigating things. And so I guess it's just sort of mind-boggling that this is like a known thing. And besides your household cleaner, and maybe someone else out there has their own household cleaner. And I think you even said y'all used to use some Dr. Bronner's in there. So I do love that brand too. Like, how is this still possible? And I would think that it would seep in through your fingers from touching it.
Transdermally, yeah. So so if you think of like a surface cleaner, which Peyton's Potion, one of its uses is, it's a surface cleaner. You squirt it on the counter and you let it sit for 10 seconds and then you wipe it, and you don't have to come back and wipe it again. That's how safe it is. But most cleaners that you can buy just over the counter that are surface cleaners have these horrible ingredients in them. And then if you squirt it on your counter, you're touching it with your hands, you're breathing it in, you're leaving it on your counter, you come and set food on your counter, and then you eat the food. I mean, it's it's really mind-boggling that, that there are known carcinogens, that there are all these, formaldehyde, or ways that formaldehyde then, can slowly turn in, ingredients can turn into formaldehyde. That's kind of a whole, topic on its own.
Mm.
That those can exist in things that we use on a daily basis, not just maybe once a day, but many times a day. It's truly mind-boggling, but it's part of living in America. There's a lot that happens here that doesn't happen in Europe, much higher standards in Europe. For instance, this is one of the brilliant things about Peyton's Potion is we have only organic essential oils. And we choose that for several reasons. But who we get our organic essential oils from is huge. It's Pranaram, and they are based in Belgium. And they have all of their organic essential oils are EcoCert. And EcoCert is one of the main companies in Europe that certifies organic anything that's organic. They have to give it a certification. And it's very, very rigorous, very difficult to get certified. But Pranaram has already done that for us. We don't have to do that. We just buy our essential oils from them.
How do you spell Pranaram? I'm again looking on the
Prana, like in yoga, Prana, and then ROM, Pranaram. And anyway, so that you're getting this really incredibly exquisite, very clean, very health promoting product from a company like that. And what was I going to say? Yeah, so they're certified. And then our soap solution we spent about a year designing that with a chemist, and the surfactants in that are plant-based, and they're EcoCert certifiable ingredients for the day when we want to become EcoCert certified and go through that rigorous process. We're good to go. So truly the best ingredients you could have in a cleaner or in Peyton's Potion. It would be really hypocritical of us if we didn't have organic in our product, because there are people that have to work with the pesticides, and they're being exposed to the carcinogenic chemicals and pesticides. Mm-hmm. And it affects our planet, it affects our planet's air, and so we don't use things. There's better ways to do things than with pesticides, especially when it comes, to a cleaner. Or beauty products, or anything that's directly consumed on a daily basis.
That's really amazing and very kind of you. Very admirable that you thought all the way over to, like, if I don't use organic, then other people are still going to get exposed to toxins.
Yeah, and I wish I could say that I started off that way, but this was a learning process for me, right? Absolutely. I mean, I'm not an entrepreneur, maybe by nature in some ways in my life. I mean, it evolved, this is where I landed, but I was a mom and an artist, and I played tennis and went with my friends and did bunko. That's what my life was like. And then when Peyton was diagnosed, all of that stopped. And my main thing was I'm his primary caregiver. And so to jump into this, like I didn't have any fear of it. I just wanted to do it, primarily first and foremost for my son. But as time rolled out, and as I looked more and more at the other children around him when he was in cancer treatment, and as things just started evolving, it just opened my eyes to more and helped me, and I learned more. So when we first started off, we had good essential oils, but they weren't organic. I didn't know enough then, like I do now. And I'm so grateful for the process of continual learning and meeting people who are so willing to share knowledge with you, like the people at Pranaram. Yeah, so.
Well, that's a good message too, though. It is a continual learning process. I'm definitely still learning. After talking to you and Elizabeth, I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's a huge thing that I really need to dive into, is learning the chemical makeup of things and like the ingredients. And it's also a huge thing to consider, like when shopping at the grocery store, buying organic, not just for yourself, but for the planet and for the people who make it. I honestly have not considered that is a component of it. But I've considered things like, fair trade and like making sure people get paid accurately or at all. Mm-hmm. but that's slightly different. But I do want to just go over some of the uses of Peyton's potions real quick, because we touched on a little bit of that. And then for the listeners out there, again, just talk about like the fragrances or not the fragrances, but what's the word I'm looking at? Like the smells of each essential oil.
Aromas.
Aromas. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So what am I talking about first? The usage.
The usage and then the aromas.
Yeah. So this is kind of funny because it's a multi-purpose cleaner, but my favorite thing to use Peyton's Potion for is as a deodorant. So yeah, when it's in my gym bag, it's instantaneous in your shoes, lunchbox, anything smelly. It's like just instant. So I love that, down your garbage disposal. I love that. But basically, yeah, anything in your home that it could replace so many different products. For instance, a window cleaner, mirrors, toilets, bathtub, shower, squirt your shower after you leave. Yeah. So we've had customers tell us that they've used it, like in my interview that's on my blog post that we just posted a couple days ago. I interviewed Corey Kleteca, who's the one that took Peyton's and my formula and refined it to what it is today. And he talks about why it's a Zen formula, why he considers it a Zen formula. But in that interview, I asked him, we were talking about frankincense, and because he asks me in the interview what my favorite ingredient is in Peyton's Potion, and it's frankincense. And truly, find another product, a cleaning product that has frankincense in it. And there's several good reasons why it's in there. But we had this patient, my husband's a foot doctor, and he had this patient who for 5 years would always be getting it from my husband. My husband would bring him Peyton's Potion, and he didn't use it to clean with. He used it on his legs and said it was the only thing that helped get rid of the pain in his legs. And so in this interview with Corey Kleteca that's on our blog for this month, I said, can you help me understand that more? And I know that it has boswellic acid in it, but I wanted to hear what Corey said. And he said that it was boswellic acid as well as the ratio of boswellic acid in the frankincense combined with coriander seed. And that's the thing that I don't know that like people like Corey knows, is the ratios of these constituents within essential oils. When you combine them in the right ratios, it opens them up to like so much more of like what they can do than if they were alone. And so anyway, so some people use them, like I said, for different things. But, I had ants around my dog's bowl once, and I squirted a little Peyton's Potion around there instead of just, wiping them and, whatever. And it was instant, So for pets, it's safe to use them around pets. When my dog comes home from a walk, I'll clean him with a little bit of it on a washcloth.
That's a smart thing.
Yeah. And I just think overall though, yes, you're cleaning with an incredibly clean cleaner, right? Because there's cleaners that aren't clean and then cleaners that are, which Peyton's Potion is. But I love how Corey said in the interview, again, that's on the blog post, is it's a great preventative. When you're cleaning with something like Peyton's Potion, it's almost like taking a handful of supplements or, I don't know, just it's a good preventative. It has the benefits of keeping your environment clean, but also it's uplifting to your mood and all the things that are within each of those essential oils that are in Peyton's Potion. There's lavender, lemon, melaleuca, clove, bud, fir silver, lime, distilled lime. And they're in these ratios that are scientifically formulated that just give you a healthy boost, and you're using it every day. So we don't get sick. We hardly ever get sick. We don't use hand sanitizers. Those have toxins in them, most of them. I hate to tell people that in a coronavirus time, but if you just Google it, it's all over the internet. We use Peyton's Potion. Here's our little hand sanitizer. It's in everything, in our purses. And you just rub for 10 seconds, little Zen moment. So we just hardly ever get sick. I mean, I can't tell you the last time I was sick or my husband.
When you said Zen moment and I was watching you rub your hands together, I actually just like got a whiff of smells. I was like, am I smelling her hand sanitizer? And then I'm really smelling my tea. It still like paused me and opened up my senses enough to where I could actually smell my tea. So that's nice.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I love that y'all used Peyton's nose to come up with the combination. And then you said earlier y'all didn't have like the exact ratios. Like Peyton's nose didn't find the ratio between whatever acid you just said and the one that helps the man's legs.
Boswellic acid. Boswellic acid. Yeah.
Yeah. And the essential oil for that, but like he had that oil picked out and then later your chemist was like, okay, we just adjust it a little bit. That's sort of what happened.
Yeah, and he added a few more though that weren't in there. He was trying to create the same aroma profile, or as close, not the same, but as close as possible, which is phenomenal given that he added other things to it. Like we didn't have distilled lime in it before. And we didn't have, what else did we have? I think it was, oh yeah, we didn't have eucalyptus, narrow leaf eucalyptus in it before. So he definitely just is so good at what he does, Corey. And he got close. And like it says in the interview, he sent us 4 samples and we even had a hard time between the 4 distinguishing which one was the original. Oh yeah, so that was kind of neat.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Yeah, well, thank you so much for sending me a bottle. I really loved mixing it because I like that you had the little refill. And my boyfriend just got me some refill hand soap that has like a little tab and also in a little glass bottle from Blue Land for anyone who's looking for that. However, their dish soap, exactly what we were saying earlier, like you inhale things. And every time I sit their dish soap down, because it's just an open powder, it like flies up into the air. And I'm like, oh my God. It makes,
Oh,
yeah, it's pretty insane. So I thought it was interesting that like a supposedly green, eco-friendly company would have done really well on one thing and then really not well on another thing.
well, if it's organic cornstarch they use, not like talcum powder or anything, that's probably, yeah, you're breathing it in, but it's probably, I don't know. I'm no expert, but just the little research I do here and there from time to time, I think that's a little safer. I don't know. You have to look and see what the ingredients are.
I will have to look and see. But I did appreciate that yours came in a little refill bottle and I loved pouring it in there. It was kind of like a milky. It was like am I
Mm-hmm.
correct in thinking that it was like a slightly orange milk?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Well, and it'd be great if we could, I mean, it's cute, right? Potion. We play on the word potion with these little refills. And people have asked us, can you do a bigger concentrate of this? And the thing with Peyton's Potion is you really can't do that because we want our customers to get a consistent mixture every time they use the product. And the essential oils do separate from the surfactants, the soap, ingredients. And so, when you read the instructions of how to use this, pour it into the bottle and then add your own filtered water, we tell you to kind of swirl or shake a little to incorporate them a little before each time you use them, because we want you to get a consistent mixture each time. So there is a little bit of education with Peyton's Potion, but it's not rocket, it's not hard.
Right.
So
I did miss the filtered water step though. I thought about using like my Brita and then I just used my sink and I was like, well, I guess I should have used the Brita.
yeah, you're fine. Whatever, whatever you have, but that's just what we suggest. Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, but I think if people really could understand, first of all, yeah, this is an amazing cause that we have where we raise awareness for childhood cancer research and donate to childhood cancer research. But if they could really understand what they're holding in their hands, that their children could use it, they could use around pets, that it can be used for virtually almost everything. You have to put a little elbow grease sometimes and use baking soda or whatever, but I mean, this is an amazing, amazing product. And one of the things that really blew my mind, which again, there were all these little pieces that helped contribute to creating this product. I remember, so I was really intensely involved in understanding as much as I could about my son's cancer treatment because I didn't want to miss a beat. So no one turned, stone, so to speak. I I wanted to learn it all as much as I could. And probably it was a little over the top at times, but one of the most amazing things that I ever learned was the drug called Vincristine. Have you heard of that?
No.
So Vincristine is, at least during the time during Peyton's cancer treatment, 2010, is a drug that is made from a flower found in Madagascar in its natural habitat, where this one plant it's called the periwinkle plant, or Canthara, I can never say, the Catharonas rose. They're these little pink and white flowers, but it's actually from the leaves. It's like a vinca alkaloid, and they take the protein from this alkaloid, and that's how they discovered that helps kids survive their leukemia treatment.
Oh, wow.
And not just leukemia treatment, but Vincristine is in almost every single treatment for childhood cancer. And during Peyton's cancer treatment, there was a shortage of Vincristine. The workers were striking because the laborers wanted to get paid more. And we were horrified, and the doctors were horrified at Children's, and they're like, the people who will get it the first will be the children, because they also use Vincristine in adult chemotherapy. But what amazed me was that there was no substitute. You can't make a synthetic form of this. And that's when it really hit me that, yeah, what we're doing here, what we're making is really powerful. We're using what the earth knows best to help us in our lives be the healthiest as possible.
Wow.
And so, yeah, to me, I just think using plants as much as possible, plant-based anything in your life, whether it's in the building products of your home or whatever, they cost a little more because it takes a little more, but you have just peace of mind all the way around with it.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for being on Eco-Friendly Homes today, Jess. I really appreciate learning about your product. I also appreciate how whole your product is. You think about the whole picture, not just this one moment of cleaning your table, but you think about the workers, you think about the chemicals, the avoidance, the earth, you think about everyone involved in this and more. And so I think that's very amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's a great thing to be part of. So, and to do that with my son all these years has been one of the most meaningful things in my life. So.
And for podcast listeners, we do have a discount code for people to use to purchase Peyton's potions, correct?
Yes, it's Eco Homes, all caps, with 15, the number 15.
Is that one word, Eco Homes, one word?
Yeah, Eco Homes 15. Mm-hmm. Cool. And there's a few places in Denver that you can purchase Peyton's potion from. You can purchase it online at our e-commerce store, but there's the Daily Grind, Brewability. Yeah, so simple switch. Yeah.
Can we find where those places are on your website?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah. Or on our Instagram. I think our Instagram for sure. So.
Okay. I'll be sure to look for that and then post it in the show notes for anyone else who wants to go find this.
Great. Thank you, Madison.
Well, I will look forward to talking with you, and tell Elizabeth I said hey.
Okay, will do. Happy cleaning.
Podcast listeners, as always, thanks for being a guest in my eco-friendly home today. I really hope you learned something new, and I hope you find a way to implement this into your life so you too can create your eco-friendly home. As always, I'm available to direct message on Instagram at Moving with Madison. And besides my podcast, I provide services as a real estate change agent in the Denver metro area, specializing in helping you buy, sell, or create your eco-friendly home. Something that this podcast is helping me get better at each and every day. When you come back over, please bring those cookies again. They were really good, and I'll see y'all next time.